How do you write honestly about your family without hurting the people you love? That's one of the questions that I'm asked more often than almost any other. Today, I'd like to share 7 ideas that have helped many memoir writers move past that fear and begin writing. For many people, family is where our memoir begins. It's where we first learned about love and belonging, conflict and disappointment, loyalty and loss. And it's also where many memoirs come to a halt. You see, many of my students tell me they're afraid of hurting someone. They're worried their memories might be wrong, that siblings may disagree or parents will. They wonder whether they have the right to tell stories that involve other people. Now, if you've ever felt that hesitation, well, you're not alone. Believe me, I felt it too. And today I'd like to share 7 ideas that I hope will make writing about family feel a little more possible, a little less stressful. Now, the first idea is this: write from your own experience. You don't need to tell your family story. You only need to tell your story within your family. That's an important distinction because none of us can fully know what another person was thinking or feeling. We can only describe what we experienced. So, example, instead of saying, "My father never cared about my feelings," describe the moment that led you to feel that way. Perhaps you remember standing in the kitchen, or you remember even what was said, or maybe you don't. Maybe you remember the silence. Specific moments allow readers to draw their own conclusions, and they make your writing more trustworthy. Now, the second idea is to choose one moment rather than trying to explain an entire relationship. Many beginning memoir writers write sentences like, "My mother was controlling," or "My brother and I never understood each other." Those statements may be true, but they don't stay with the reader. Stories stay. Think about a Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner. One conversation in the car, an afternoon in the garden, or an argument that changed something between you. Very often, a single scene reveals far more than pages of explanation. Now, the third idea is to notice the small details. When you think about someone you loved, tell me, what comes back first? It usually isn't a list of personality traits. No, it's the way they laughed, the smell of their coat or their hair, or the phrase that they often repeated, or the way that they stirred a cup of tea or coffee. Those small details bring people back to life on the page. And you don't need dozens of them either. I mean, 1 or 2 carefully chosen details can carry enormous emotional weight. Now, the fourth idea may be the most difficult. Allow people to remain complicated. Very few people are entirely kind or entirely difficult. I mean, someone may have been generous in one part of life and deeply wounded in another. A parent may have loved you and yet still caused you pain. Memoir isn't about simplifying people into heroes or villains. It's about allowing them to remain human. You see, that honesty gives your writing depth and credibility. Idea number 5, and it's one that often brings great relief. Separate your writing from publishing. You see, when you're writing your first draft, you don't need to decide whether anyone else will ever read it. Just write. Tell the truth as you remember it. Later, during revision, well, then you can decide whether you want to change names, protect someone's privacy, remove certain details, or even keep the piece for yourself. Trying to make those decisions while you're still discovering the story often silences the writing before it even has a chance to emerge. My 6th idea is to be honest about memory itself. None of us remembers perfectly. I certainly don't. I mean, you may remember the feeling of a moment without remembering every word that was spoken at the time. And that's perfectly natural. Memoir doesn't ask you to invent certainty. It asks you to be honest. Sometimes it's enough to say, I don't remember her exact words, but I remember how they made me feel. You see, that honesty creates trust with the reader. Finally, I'd like to encourage you to look for meaning rather than a verdict. You see, many family stories don't end with a neat resolution. Some relationships remain complicated. Some questions remain unanswered. So instead of asking who was right, you might ask, what did this experience teach me? How did it change me? How did it shape me into who I've become? What do you understand today that you couldn't have understood back then? Those are the questions that transform memory into memoir. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with a simple writing invitation. Think of one person in your family, not your whole family, just one person, and then complete the sentence. When I think of, you fill in the blank, I return to the day when I think of whoever, I return to the day when, and don't worry about writing the whole story, just simply follow the memory that emerges. Notice the place, notice one object, remember something that was said, and let the scene unfold. You may discover that you've been carrying that story for years without realizing it. Now, I admit, writing about family is rarely easy. It asks for courage. It asks for honesty. It also asks for compassion, both for the people who shaped us and for the younger version of ourselves who lived those experiences. If today's conversation has encouraged you, I'd invite you to read the full article where I explore each of these ideas in greater depth and include a guided writing exercise to help you begin. You'll find the link below here in the notes. And if you're ready to move beyond a single story and begin exploring the larger story of your life, I'd love to welcome you into my self-paced course entitled Start Writing Your Life Story. Together, we'll explore the people, places, the turning points, challenges, and values that have shaped who you are, one memory at a time. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me. Until next time, this is Michael Williams saying, take good care and keep writing, and I hope to see you in the Memory Studio.